You're listening to the Watercooler Edit with Chris and Rich.
Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of the Watercooler Edit with my Bayut. I'm Eman and I'm joined by Richard.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Things are going okay.
Yes. So in this episode we are going to be talking about everything that's coming up in the UAE, the places that you can visit. But before we do that, we're actually going to get into our interesting facts or our fun fact before we get started. Okay, so interesting fact or fun fact. Considering the fact that I'm the one that brought this up, I will share my fact first. So, since one of our topics is about road trips in the UAE,
Yep.
obviously I've lived here all my life, right? So I visited all of the Emirates. We've gone on like picnics and road trips, day trips, staycations, all of that sort of stuff.
You've been all over the UAE.
Almost all over, I would
Almost
say.
all over.
Yeah, because there's always something to explore here.
Well, Abu Dhabi's huge and just in
Yes.
itself, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So the interesting fact is that I've only started driving about a couple of years ago. So it's relatively new for me, right? To actually visit all of these places. Normally my parents would drive or we'd go with someone, something else like that.
You were the passenger.
Yes.
You've gone from the passenger to the designated driver.
Yeah, I do a lot of driving actually. And now I've visited all of the Emirates, but not Quwain. Like I've not personally driven to Quwain.
So you need to do so you've gone to Fujairah, but you haven't gone to Khor.
No, I've actually gone to Fujairah about twice.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that's like the furthest
that's the
away.
furthest one,
Yeah. But so Khor is just down the road.
I've technically driven past Quwain on the way to the other Emirates, so I feel like it counts because I've driven past it.
You've driven past it, just not through it.
Not through it. I've not visited anything.
You've skirted the perimeter of Khor.
Yeah.
What would be your first port of call in Khor?
I think it would be Kite Beach there. So it's supposed to be a Bali-inspired beach. And they have a lot of activities there. Yeah, you can go like parasailing, you can go actually sailing, kayaking, all of those sort of things. They have the water.
So it's like an action beach.
Yeah, it's an actual beach. And then...
Nice.
I mean, they have a few resorts and things like that in Quwain.
It is building up down there, right?
It is,
in a good way. I mean, building
way,
up. Okay, so that's your fun fact. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Richard.
Okay, so I'm not sure it's a fun fact. I'm not even sure it's interesting actually, but I'm going to say it anyway. All right, so we're doing road trips here, obviously. Any road trip that I've ever done in my entire life has been as a passenger because I can't drive. So this is it. I get driven.
Yes.
But having said that, right, I do the music.
Yeah.
Like, I make sure the playlist is good. So surely that's essential, right? For a road
that is.
trip.
Do you navigate?
Do I navigate? Yes, I do, but it all gets a bit frantic sometimes because the Google Maps thing, and I'm trying to show it, and we're like, oh no, and it can get a little bit on the frantic side, and I'm not the best at map read it. Well, you don't really have to read, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Actually, navigating, no, it is tough here. But if you had to choose, let's say, top 3 road trips in the UAE, which ones would you choose?
One that I know, I haven't done this one, but I know a lot of people do it and really, really enjoy this particular destination. Khor Fakkan.
Yes. I went there myself 2 weeks ago, actually. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, what would you? Because I hear nothing but good things about Khor Fakkan. People absolutely adore it. I haven't been, so I need to rectify that. So, tell us about your road trip.
Ooh. Okay. Interesting. First of all, this was actually the first time I was driving to Khor Fakkan.
Yeah.
Again, I was the one driving, right? The view is actually very scenic. It's very different from, I would say, the rest of the UAE, because specifically you're going towards the mountainsides.
I was going to say, is it more mountainous than desert, basically?
Yes,
It's more rugged.
And I would say you would have to be careful as well because there's a lot of elevation and there are a lot of winding roads. So when you're actually driving, sometimes you're like, oh, what is happening? But you can actually see the mountains. You can actually see a lot of the farms that they've set up, all of the mining that they're actually doing. They do a lot of I'm not sure what you'd call it exactly, but they do maintenance to make sure that the rocks don't actually fall onto the road.
Where you see the netting on the...
Not just the netting, but they were actually, I think, melting down the limestone and things like that. Yeah, they were doing something to it to smoothen it out. So we'd gone to Khor Fakkan. It was a girls' trip, and it was really fun. Yeah. It was really fun. We visited the Rafisa Dam. They have kayaks and donut boats and things like that there. And they have a lot of wildlife that's placed around the dam as well. So you can see like gazelles and ducks and a lot of like different flora.
I mean, obviously, we've got articles on my Bayut
Yes.
about all of this stuff, right? The top things to do in Khor Fakkan and
Things like that, yeah. One of the main tips that I would say is just be careful when parking in any of these places because parking is not free.
Oh, really?
So, yes,
That's
it's not.
interesting. That's good.
At any time, public holiday, weekend, whatever it is.
Doesn't matter.
So it doesn't matter. Yeah.
It's always
Paid.
going to cost, right? Look, this is a long road trip, right? So I think you're more staying over type thing. But driving down, and we did this once. I say we. My wife drove. I sat in the in the passenger seat with my parents in the back. Went to Muscat.
Nice.
About 4, they say, I looked up today, 4 hours and 45 minutes from downtown Dubai.
Yep.
Okay. Muscat is a really, really interesting city with the souks and everything.
Yes.
It is genuinely interesting. But an hour and a half from Muscat, there is a sinkhole, right? Which sounds massively underwhelming, but it's not, right? Because this is called the, what is it called, Rich? It's called the Bimar sinkhole. So that's B-I-M-M-A-H. It's one of the deepest in the world, right? And this sinkhole, it's got water in the bottom of it, pure like water, so you can swim in it.
Oh, wow. Did you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. It's really deep. It's like 300 foot down the sinkhole. And you can go down. It's quite open, so it's not like you're potholing or something.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not like being in a little cave. It's
Yeah.
quite open, and you go down and you can swim, and the water's just unbelievably clear, and it's just so it's kind of cool. So I would recommend that
Yeah, I think
for a
Oman-
longer road trip.
Road trip, yeah. I think Oman is one of those road trips that you definitely should do just because the drive there is so nice. And you don't have to go to Muscat. You could go to Salalah, you could go to Masandam.
Just over the border, right?
That's
Some of the
just
places
over
just
the border, yeah. But if you want to take the longer drive, then definitely Muscat is something you should check out.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely, completely agree on all of that, right? And do you notice one thing about Oman? A lot of goats.
Yes.
Loads.
Yes.
Even almost as soon as you go over the border, you just start seeing goats everywhere. It's kind of random.
I think because generally it is a very mountainous area when you actually get in because they actually have larger mountains than the UAE does. So the Al Hajar Mountains are shared between the two countries.
That's true, actually.
Yes,
When we drove from Muscat to the sinkhole, it was driving through mountains.
Yeah.
And it almost looked, the landscape was almost, you know when you see like Mars in movies, right?
Yeah.
It was almost a little bit like that at times, almost like out of this worldly, you know. So some great stuff, huh?
Yeah,
great
exactly.
stuff.
If I had to choose a third road trip, I feel like that's a tough one because there are so many. You could go to Dibba, you could go to the Liwa Desert in Abu Dhabi, right?
Yeah.
You could go to anywhere in Ras Al Khaimah. You could go to Snoopy Island in Fujairah if you want
Snoopy
to
Island,
go.
Hatta.
Snorkeling, yeah, Hatta is a great one
Jebel
as well.
Jais, as you say, Ras Al Khaimah.
Yes, yeah, Jabal Hafid and Alan. I don't know, there's just so many locations. And
This
the
is
thing with winter is I always feel like it's too short. I feel like there's not enough time to actually visit all of these locations.
Trying to cram it all in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because when does it get, like, the temperature? I mean, I know winter technically, is it November through February? Is that the 4, or is it, no, because it would be 3 months, right? Because 4 seasons, 3 months.
It's supposed to start in November. Personally, I feel like this year it hasn't really set in still. Even when we went to Khor Fakkan in Jan,
Yeah.
it was still very hot. Like,
Well, it's getting up to kind of 28 in like the peak
Yeah,
day,
the peak
like
days,
28,
yeah.
29. And I suppose the real feel with that, if you're directly in the sun, is going to be more.
much warmer. One more destination.
Go for it. Take the plunge. Into the sinkhole, take the plunge. No, go on.
Yeah, exactly. I think I would choose Hatta. Just
nice.
because there's so many different things to do. You could go play archery there. They have kayaking. They have like rock climbing. They have zip lining. There's something else that's really interesting. Do you know what a zorb is, Richard? Do you know what zorbing is?
I do know what a zorb is actually. Do you want to explain it, or do you want me to have a bash? Right, it's a big inflatable ball that you get in and someone pushes you somewhere, and you usually down a hill.
Yes. So it's basically like you're the football. So you can go zorbing at Hatta.
I quite like that. I've always quite fancied a bit of that.
Ooh,
I have always quite fancied a bit of the old zorbing.
Okay, nice.
Preferably not down a really, really steep hill. But
It depends on who's pushing you.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
true, actually.
This is
Yeah,
the
if it's
thing.
my wife, it'd be, she'd push me down a mountain.
Oh my god.
No, she,
Maybe she will, maybe she won't. But if she wants to find out all of the details, she can take a look at the blog post on things to do in Hatta, all of the activities and things like that on my Bayut directly. I think that's a lot of the road trip, adventure, travel sort of thing. If you're not really interested in that, thankfully we live in a country and specifically Dubai as a city where there are lots of events happening all the time.
all the time.
All the time. Literally, you would have something, I think, in every single area, in every single neighborhood at any given point of time.
Yep. You can just look like, I mean, every weekend, it's like take your pick, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's just, you know.
So one of the things that I know that I'm going for, I don't know if you know that I'm going or not, Richard, but I am going to Untold. Which
Untold.
is
Tell me about Untold. I don't know much about. I know it's a big deal. I'm seeing it advertised. I know it's a
Yes.
music festival,
Yes.
right?
So it's supposed to be like one of the biggest music festivals in the world, and they're coming to Dubai. So there are supposed to be over 100 artists. They've only announced, I think, maybe 10 or 15% of them so far.
Okay.
It's going to be a 4-day extravaganza taking place at Expo from the 15th of Feb to the 18th.
Nice.
Yeah, and they have lots of acts announced. You have
So is it like music-wise and genre-wise? Does it span different genres, or is it predominantly kind of dance-based?
So it is predominantly EDM/DJ based, but they do have pop and hip hop artists as well, and they
Okay.
have multiple stages.
Oh, right,
So,
yeah.
So
Okay.
you know you can really pick and choose what you want to go for.
All right.
Yeah.
So kind of Coachella has multiple
Kind of,
stuff,
yeah,
and
exactly.
Glastonbury and
Lollapalooza and things like that.
Yeah.
But another event that I'm actually excited for is the Phantom of the Opera, which is coming very obviously to Dubai Opera, starting from the 22nd of February. That sort of event is more my taste.
Really?
Yes.
A bit of Phantom of the Opera action.
Yeah,
You like
yeah.
a musical.
Yes, I like a musical. I like something that's kind of not as loud, not as busy.
So it's not. It's an Andrew Lloyd Webber
Yes,
classic.
yes.
Classique.
Yes.
I haven't seen it. I have heard of it.
Okay, come along, Richard. One of the days. You have about, I think, 2 weeks. It runs from the 22nd of Feb to, I believe, the 1st of March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get much bigger in the musical theatre world than
The
Phantom of the Opera, right? It is pretty much, well, maybe Les Mis, maybe in that kind maybe in that kind of ballpark, you know. So, well, you never know. I have never been big on musical theatre, but maybe now is the time.
Apart from music, there are so many other events that are coming up as
Loads.
well, right?
It's just it's one after the other after the other. You've got the art events.
Yes, I'm
coming
most
up.
excited about Sika.
Yeah.
So that's actually very close to where I live. So we routinely do generally go. Either I go after work or on the weekends. I actually walk there, and then we take a look at all of the different exhibits: music, non-music, sports.
I don't know. It's a tough one, right? Because some I'm excited for. Others, I think it's worth mentioning because other people will be excited for them, but I'm personally not massively excited for them. So I do think there's some big concerts coming up in Abu Dhabi.
Yep, yeah.
right?
Abu Dhabi is having, I think, back-to-back. They're having major artists actually coming
Yeah,
out,
they really are. On I always say Sadiat, but is it Sardiat? How do you say
I don't
it?
know, I just call it Sadiat Island.
Yeah, nice. There. So
I
Sadiat
could be
Island.
wrong.
I could be wrong. It's more likely I'm wrong. So, but anyway, you guys know where we meet, right? Sadiat Island. So they've got some big ones coming up there. You've got Alicia Keys. You've got Tom Jones.
Yep.
And
John Legend,
you've got the
right?
legend
Yeah.
that is John Legend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know any John? Right, I've got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not a big John Legend
No,
fan.
neither am I. Neither am I.
Right, so, but I only know one song he's done.
Which is All of Me.
Yeah. I mean, what does he do? Does he come out and sing that 20 times?
I mean, I have no idea. I don't know what that's the reason. So
I presume he has other songs.
Yeah,
He has a whole repertoire. Look, sorry, any John Legend fans, I'm sure he's great and that, but he's undoubtedly a high-profile artist, and he is undoubtedly coming to Abu Dhabi. So you got that. You got Tom Jones, the Welsh wizard.
Yep.
And Alicia Keys speaks for herself. Really, that's impressive. And in May, this is a ripper. Woo!
Okay, exciting. What is it, Richard?
Do you know the 80s power rock band, the Scorpions?
I know a few of their songs.
Yeah, I only know one of their songs.
Oh, okay.
Wind of Change. They did Wind of Change, about a song about the falling of the Berlin
Berlin
Wall.
Wall, yeah.
going down to Gorky Park, and all that, right? Classic song, very, very popular. They were a big band in the 80s, power in the hair rock days, where you kind of Bon Jovis and all the rest of it.
Twisted Sister, all of that.
Oh, yeah, we're not going to take it, and all that. So, they're coming to the Etihad Arena in May, right?
Okay,
so, that might be worth checking out for some nostalgia, power rock action.
That's basically it for this episode. We're going to wrap this up, and we should hopefully see you in the next one. If you're interested to know more about any of the topics that we've discussed, to find out any information when it comes to pricing, when it comes to timing, location, any information that you require, make sure to actually search on My Bayut. So that's Bayut.com/My Bayut. And go explore. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Cheers, guys.
You're listening to the Watercooler Edit with Chris and Rich.